Hello, welcome to our Q&A. This is the first ever Q&A we've done, isn't it? So let's see how this goes. First of all, massive thank you to everybody who has clicked that subscribe button. I've now got over 500 subscribers, so just goes to show that making everybody I know and have ever come into contact with sign up to a Google account and subscribe to my channel has worked. So hi. So without further ado, let's get cracking. If you're wondering who this is Liz with makeup on, so you normally see her running and cycling and whatever else. Looks very different, doesn't she? So it's good to see. Right. Liz is going to fire the questions at me that you guys have asked, so thank you very much for doing so. And I'm going to do my best to answer them. And there's a couple for Liz as well. I've not really rehearsed this much at all, to be honest. I've quickly jotted them down. My handwriting's terrible, so if Liz struggles to ask anything,
or if I pronounce any names wrong, I do apologise.
Yeah, sorry about that in advance. Let's go.
First one then is from AJM20091.
Right.
And the question was, why do you do so much running on a treadmill? Do you feel that you get more out of it than running outside?
Yeah, I don't do loads of running on a treadmill. I probably do 1 or 2 runs a week, and I find myself doing steady runs on the treadmill, so recovery runs. It's quite well sprung, it's good for recovery. It saves washing. I don't have to get all dressed up to go out and get loads of clothes away. I can just run in some shorts, hence why I don't share that with you, because you see enough of me just in bib shorts. So I'd say I do some running, not a huge amount. I don't think it's of any real benefit than outside running, other than for recovery reasons. I find that when I'm doing efforts, it's a lot better to do it outside with other people.
Okay. Next one is from Pat Murphy. What do you feel you need to focus on most over the next 3 to 6 months?
Thanks, Pat. Hanging on to you on the club rides. So I think with triathlon, people often get too fixated on trying to improve everything, and then as a result of that, improve nothing. So I'm pretty much focusing on running, definitely for the next 3 or 4 months. After that, I'm going to pick back up with cycling and swimming, but I think absolutely my running, if I look at my triathlon results, my swimming is average, my cycling is above average, and my running is below average. So the biggest gains to be made from the running, in my opinion, so that's certainly what I'm going to be focusing on.
Okay. Next question is John. When did you get into triathlons?
So I think, and I've got a little funny story about this, I think my first ever triathlon was in 2013 or 2014, I can't remember exactly when, but I remember what it was. It was a super sprint tri, and I think it was a Go Tri, so they're events aimed at beginner triathletes. And I remember doing it, and it was either a 100 or 150 metre swim, and I remember finishing the swim, and I couldn't get out of the deep end, I couldn't lift my body out to get out of the pool. So the rest of it went okay, but yeah, that was my first ever triathlon. I think it was 2013.
Okay. He also asked, how did you meet? So I'll answer that one. Back in the day, we both had summer jobs. You were at sixth form and I was at college, and we worked at a local children's adventure park. I worked on the farm and Daniel did the rides. And Daniel had passed his driving test at this point and I hadn't, and he used to be adamant that he was picking me up and taking me to work. So that's how it all began.
Yeah, thanks for saying Daniel did the rides. That's great wording. Right, go
on. Right, next question is from the Jacko0215 and also David Woods. They both asked very similar questions. And that was, what apps do you use other than Strava to get all your training info?
So Liz tells me I can't say Tinder, so not Tinder. I pretty much just use Strava and Training Peaks, if I'm honest. I tend to use Training Peaks more on the desktop than I do on the app. So I'd probably say mainly Strava. I find it very good for social interaction as well as looking at training. But when it comes to actually looking at the raw data, I prefer Training Peaks. So I'd use the app if I'm out and about, but more than anything, I'd use that on desktop. Other than that, I don't really use any other fitness apps. I might use the Zwift Companion app if I'm on there and somebody says something to me on the chat or something. But other than that, mainly Zwift. Mainly Strava.
Okay. So DM asked, what is the best way to prepare for a 70.3 coming off marathon training cycle 5 months out?
Okay, so you've got 5 months, so don't worry, and you're pretty fit if you've run a marathon, so I wouldn't worry too much about anything. I did this in 2016, but I only had 3 weeks in between the marathon and my 70.3, which is my first marathon and my first 70.3, so I sort of just recovered and then gave it a go. What I'd say is you're probably quite fit running wise. I'd try and just pick up the cycling and the swimming. Don't lose the marathon fitness that you've got. Don't waste that. You can make those gains on the run by being quite fit, but you probably want to look at not making your long run as long and doing a few shorter efforts to increase that sort of speed, because obviously the run is only a half marathon. But yeah, definitely sort of pick up the cycling. You're not really at risk of picking up any injuries from picking up the cycling, whereas if you stick to a marathon schedule, you still run that risk if it's quite high volume of picking up injury. So I'd say back off the running a little bit, but still keep the pressure on and pick up the cycling as well.
Okay. Next question is from John Vardy, and he says, you talk about fast twitch muscles on track running sessions and hanging on to the club bike rides. Do you think you are training too hard for this time of year?
So when I say fast twitch, like we're not doing any sort of sprints. To me, a 400 metre effort is a sprint. That's the shortest effort I probably ever do. So to me, it feels like I'm running really fast, but actually I'm not. So I think the fast twitch, I probably use the wrong terminology there. I'm probably still like running in an aerobic zone, but I've just used the wrong words. Then yeah, hanging on to the club ride. I get what you mean by that. There's obviously videos I put up where I'm like, I'm struggling to hang on to these guys. It was really hard, and sometimes it is a really hard ride. Maybe I am, but I try and think of it as that ride is a snapshot of the week. It's not the whole training week. Very often, a lot of the other training I've done has been easy or tempo work or strength work. So then having that little bit of intensity isn't the end of the world. So for example, I think the video you commented on was a Sunday ride. It was only 3 hours in duration. So yes, it was mainly hard, but it was only 3 hours in like a 10 or 12 hour training week. So I'm not too worried about getting burnt out this time of year or doing too much, especially on the bike. It doesn't take as much out of you as it does if it's running. So maybe I am, but I'm playing it by ear, listening to the body, and I think I'm going to be okay. Hopefully. Okay.
Another question from John.
Two?
One's
get on
for me.
three. All right.
So it's Liz. We see you training.
What should I ask you,
Oh, go on then.
Come on, give it to the boss. So Liz, we see you training with Dan once or twice per week. Is this all of your training sessions, or do you do more training and we just don't see it?
Yeah, correct. I do more training and you don't see it. So a normal week for me is 4 or 5 training days, made up usually of 3 runs and 2 bike sessions. Obviously, we do like to do some training together, but because we're both at very different paces and have different goals and things, that's the reason that we don't do loads of training together, but we do where we can.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Phil. Can you share your numbers? FTP, height, weight, etc.
It's not very often I get asked my number. So I'm 6'2", that's 188 centimetres. What was the other ones?
FTP.
Okay, FTP. Weight. People use this all the time as a measure of how fit you are as a cyclist, and I get it. So I tested a few weeks ago, and my 20-second average was 350 something. It gave me an FTP of 335 watts or something like that. Now I have been up at a threshold of 360 something earlier this year, and I hope to get back to that. So at the minute 330 odd, I'd hope to get back to 360 odd. My weight at the minute, I'm 83 kilos, and that's no lie. I raced earlier this year at 79.80, so I'm a few kilos heavier at the minute, but you know, we're early November, I'm not too worried about it at the minute.
Too many of these.
Stop it, put them down. Have you had all those? So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm conscious about when I talk about weight that I don't want to act like people have to get really light, because I'm conscious that this is an outlet and people will be watching this and thinking, oh my god, this guy's getting really fit and really light, I need to get really light. And you know, people have real issues with like eating disorders and things. I don't want to get into that too much, but yeah, I'd say I'm a bit heavier than I want to be at the minute, but they're my stats, and that's what they are, and I'm very happy with it, and Liz likes me cuddly, so...
Next question is from Sophie Leach, who is Gin Before Gym on Insta, so give her a follow. Daniel will put her link down below.
Will I? I'll put a link down below, she's well worth a follow.
Yeah, definitely. What prompted the transition to plant-based food, pros and cons?
So I don't talk about this too much on the channel because I try not to be controversial. I'm sometimes a bit outspoken, but I want to make this channel about triathlon. I don't want to have any sort of drama or anything. I understand several people that I know create drama on YouTube channels in order to gain a following, but that's not me. So what prompted the change? A couple of people I know went to a plant-based diet, and I very often poo-poo it and say, that's rubbish, where are you going to get protein, oh, you miss steak, or all the sort of classic lines that you get. And then I thought, actually, I can't really comment on it too much until I've done it. And I also heard a lot about the performance benefits of it through following people like, Durian Rider to an extent, the vegan cyclist, cycling maven. You know, there's all those those influencers. You think, perhaps I should give that a go. So I decided to give it a go. Initially, was it for a month or so?
Yeah, you did Veganuary one.
Yeah, Veganuary in 2018, wasn't it? So I'm nearly on 2 years now. And it was tough at the beginning, wasn't it? And I sort of thought, okay, I'll do it for a month. Then I thought I'd do it for 3, then I'd do it for 6. Essentially, it was a trial. I thought I couldn't comment on it until I'd done it for a long enough period of time to say my fitness is as a result of the things I eat. So that's how I transitioned to plant-based foods. Pros and cons. Cons, when you go out, there's often not a full vegan option, or like we went out last night and a great vegan main, but we've got no vegan desserts left. They did have some on the menu, but you come across challenges like that. I find myself being very organised with food, so I always have like snacks in a bag somewhere with me, don't I? And you've always got to think about where we're going. Are they going to have something suitable to eat? If not, how do I talk to a chef or something in order to change a dish so that it is suitable? It's particularly problematic when you go abroad. Mallorca's quite good for vegans, but France is terrible.
Yeah.
Like when I did the Hort route last year, it was diabolical. I was in one restaurant and there was nothing on the menu that's vegetarian and mine vegan, apart from a pasta and tomato dish with a lobster, and it was like €35. And I said to the waitress, would I be able to have just pasta and tomato sauce, but I don't particularly want to pay €34 for it. You can keep the lobster, can I just like have pasta and tomato sauce? And the answer was no, you can't, it comes with lobster. So they're the problems that I have. Of course, then I get all the banter from everybody I know about being a plant-based eater, but it's part and parcel of what it is. I try and not talk about it all the time and be one of those vegans, but sometimes people want to talk about it now, so that's absolutely fine. Pros, performance. I mean, my weight has gone down, performance has gone up. It's just been win-win on that front, so I definitely think that it's a benefit to me. I think I might do some sort of video on it in a future date, but I'm just conscious about how it comes across and where it could lead to in terms of conversation. I don't want to spark any dramas off, but I do want to share my genuine experience with the plant-based diet, especially if a lot of people watch Game Changers. If you haven't seen it, check it out on Netflix. Excellent program, and whenever people talk to me now about plant-based diet, I often just tell them, just watch Game Changers. It saves me the hassle of going through it all, and it's often more persuasive.
Yep.
What is that phone? Can we shut it on?
It's alright, it's just an iPad over there. So next question, does Liz eat vegan? So that was from Sophie as well. No, I don't eat vegan, but I do have a lot less animal products than I used to. Just things like I have soy milk now on my breakfast instead of dairy milk. So no, I'm not 100% vegan, but I do have very limited dairy products and things now.
I think we'll cover how that works in a separate video in a bit more detail, but
yeah. Right, we're nearly there. Oh, another one from Sophie.
Money's worth, isn't she?
I know you're following a cycling winter training plan. How have you worked out your swimming and running for your Ironman plan?
So the reason I went to a cycling plan, it wasn't to really focus on cycling, but it was to make sure the time I was spending on cycling was the most efficient, so that I could knock back the cycling training more than anything. So the Ride Harder plan that I follow is very efficient. Every session you're doing has a purpose, and I'm probably doing between 6 and 7 hours a week on the bike, which for me in the summer I was doing sort of 12 to 14 hours, so it's a lot less, but I'm trying to maintain / increase my fitness slightly on the bike whilst focusing on running and swimming. In terms of Ironman specific plan, I haven't really got anything like that in place yet. My Ironman isn't until later in the year next year, so all I'm doing is working on becoming a better runner and hopefully at some point becoming a better swimmer. So Ironman specific plan that'll come later in next year, but at the minute I'm trying to focus on running. Cycling is secondary to that, and swimming is somewhere down the list.
I think I've swam more than you, and I can't swim very well.
Next question.
Steve Davis is the next question. Have you set a target race for your Kona qualification next year?
Yeah. Yes, and iLife also asked, are you coming back to Wales next year? So I think there's two questions sort of tying to each other. Yes, I have. I'm going to be coming back to Wales in 2020. I'll be coming to Wales for... Oh yeah, we are. We're on a holiday. You know what it's like. Coming back for the long course weekend in July, followed by Ironman Wales. So Ironman Wales is my main target for Kona qualification. I have got a secondary race in mind, which will be 3 weeks after Wales. There's a new Ironman in Portugal. I've not done this past year, I know, I'm afraid.
This is news to me,
yeah,
but I don't mind going to Portugal.
Yeah, I'll put the full budget proposal through together later this week. But I don't want to have a second. I don't want to have a second best plan in my head. I want to focus on Wales and try and qualify Wales. But the Portugal event does look good, and I think I will keep that in the back of my mind just in case I'm close in Wales. It might give me enough purpose to want to go and have another hit out of one. But we'll play it by ear as to how next year goes. Okay. Is that it?
That's all the questions.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Hope to do one of these again at some point in the future. It's well worthwhile doing, isn't it? It seems to be quite fun. You managed okay with my handwriting?
Yeah, just about.
Okay. So my turn to ask a question to you guys now then. So some of you guys have been here for a little while, some of you have been here quite recently. What do you want to see from a YouTube channel? So up to yet, all I've really done is documenting my training. I have thought about doing how-tos, guides on things, bike mechanics, training sessions, all those sorts of things. But to be honest, I'm not really sure what you guys would want to see. And I don't want to waste my time by doing stuff that nobody really cares about, more than I do already. So let me know down below if there's any sort of specific type of videos you like watching. Maybe it's so I have, for example, I've got a load of footage from a chain gang earlier this year, and I wanted to put a video together how to ride a chain gang, what communication you do, and all that sort of stuff. But I sort of put it to one side because I wasn't sure that fitted with the direction of my channel. I try and make it about my performance and my training. But over to you. Let me know down below what you want to see from this channel. Don't say you want to see more of Liz, because this is triathlon, Dan. So yeah, any ideas?
I'm sure they won't.
No. Thanks, Liz, for doing this Q&A and for spending 5 hours in makeup beforehand. That's well worthwhile.
Not quite.
So that's it. Thank you very much. Oh, click that subscribe button.